8-2, how do you do? The Packers head into their bye week with a solid victory over the Carolina Panthers. We'll relive the excitement of the game with the help of some mighty fine listener feedback coming up on your Packers Fan Podcast.
The Heart Attack Pack is back, and what a game that was this weekend. I was definitely on the edge of my seat towards the end. I'm Scott Clark, and I'm so happy that we were able to pull off a win as we head into the bye week. Now it's time to look forward to the final leg of the season when the wins matter the most.
And I'm at Wayne Henderson, recording episode 191 of your Packers Fan Podcast on Veterans Day / Remembrance Day, November 11th, 2019. And let's just say that the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field with the snow under the lights is a sight that cannot be beat.
Oh, that was a game I would have loved to have been at, man. That just looked like it was such a great game altogether. Obviously, the win was nice, but that was just like football weather right there, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And Lambeau was packed and snowflakes abounded. And the more it snowed, the louder the crowd got. The snow really is the 12th man.
We have our own 12th man. I love it.
On this edition of the podcast, we'll review the Packers' win over the Carolina Panthers, including the best and the worst from the game. And why does it seem to be so darn difficult to properly and consistently referee NFL football games? We'll talk a little bit about that. And we'll have the results from our weekly Twitter and Facebook poll question.
Also, it is bye week, finally. We'll talk about what the Pack can do during the break, and then we'll share more of your excellent listener feedback. If you'd like to check out the episode show notes, head over to PackersFanPodcast.com and inside the details area of your podcast player. Let's start things off with some highlights of the game. First off, how about that clutch interception from Tremont Williams in the middle of the end zone? Well, that was definitely a turning point for the game where I started to feel a little bit better. How about you?
Amen to that. It came at the absolute perfect time, and there were so many other close calls that could have been, fumble recoveries or interceptions, but that one was the one that really counted.
For sure. And just lots of other defensive players coming in to get those almost turnovers, like you said, but plenty of quarterback pressure by the defense also was really great to see. I'd like to see them keep him out of the end zone a little bit more, but it was still awesome to see that they're putting that pressure on there and getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, we need to amp that up to 11 after the bye week. Did someone say we have a run game?
That is so awesome to see, man. I feel like ever since I've been a Packer fan, which has been a really long time, I'm not quite as old as you, but I'm getting there.
I'll let you catch up.
I feel like ever since I was younger, we've always just been a passing team. Our running game was never our strong suit. I still feel like our passing game is kind of the key focus, but just seeing Jones and Williams just rushing up there and finding holes, it is so awesome to see this side of the Green Bay Packers, and I'm absolutely loving it.
Yeah, and they both had 13 carries. Aaron Jones got 93 yards. Jamal Williams got 63 yards. Not the highest numbers in the world, but man, when they hit the field, it mattered, and it made a statement against the Panthers. It was so beautiful.
Absolutely. It was also good to see Aaron Rodgers passing the ball around at least a little bit more this week compared to last week. He does have other receivers besides Davante Adams, which is nice to see. And he did throw to Adams more than anybody. He had 7 receptions, but he's also thrown a couple to Jimmy Graham, a couple to Jay Kumaro, and then 3 each to Lazard and Allison as well. I love seeing him. This is the key to our offense, I believe, is throwing around to different receivers, keeping the defense guessing as to where he's going, and he's got quite an arsenal, so might as well use it.
Yes, because we saw what happened last week when we didn't really spread it around very much. It was not very good. And I got to give props to Jimmy Graham because the past few games, he has done some really good things. He's doing catches. He's blocking to an extent. I mean, things are looking pretty good. He may not be the fastest man on the field, but I'm sure he's a lot faster than me, and it's great to see him contributing. He's really trying to make a statement, I believe.
Well, plus his yak is just looking a lot better, too, because there's the one play where he caught it in the middle of the field, and it looked like he was going to be down 15 yards shorter than he was going to be. He just kept going and going and going, and it was... I have a love-hate relationship with Jimmy Graham because some games he does awesome things like this one, but then he gets stone hands others. But I was glad that he was able to be the Jimmy Graham that we know and love for this game because we needed this win going into the bye.
And how about AR-12's catch of the referee's flag while laying on his back, hardly even looking, just lays out his hand, catches the yellow flag, boom.
It was a little like poetic almost, I think, because just how many times the flags have been thrown this season, and how we have some questionable calls, but it would have hit him in the face. Has a player ever gotten hit in the eye with a flag, I wonder? Because, that's like a bag of sand, isn't it?
I believe so, and they did have to kind of tweak how they threw it, because I believe it was around 10 years ago. It was one of the Eastern teams, Ravens, Browns, or somebody. The ref threw the flag out of control, and it did hit the player in the eye, and it was not a good thing at all.
Yeah. Are they aiming for the players? Is that what they're supposed to be doing? Like throwing to where the infraction occurred? I don't know.
I guess, but I don't think they have to be so literal as to actually land it right where Aaron Rodgers can catch it.
Yeah.
But hey,
these are receivers. You can catch a football. If you can catch a football, you can catch a flag.
Why not?
A little dodgeball reference there for you.
Thanks for that.
That was definitely some highlights, but we had a few lowlights as well. Our defense is still letting opponents get far too many big plays against us. We did get that stop on the 2-point conversion, although that was a pretty questionable call by the management of the Panthers there. But it was nice to see that. But we're making too many holes. I get it. Christian McCaffrey is a beast, but we got to plug those holes up if we're going to do well the second half of the season.
Yeah, and even Christian McCaffrey did have a few big plays against us yesterday, but I do think they took it to heart to make sure that they did not let him just run rampant and destroy the Packers. It could have been so much worse.
It really could have, especially how well he played last week. His numbers were insane. So it was good to see that we can hold a little bit of a run game, especially with a guy that is such a heavy hitter like McCaffrey is.
And for the most part, our offensive line does a really good job of protecting Aaron Rodgers. But there were a few plays during the game where somebody must have just forgot to block somebody, because Panthers just came running through like there was nothing there.
Yeah, I felt like Rodgers was dancing around quite a bit more than I'd like to see. I do. It is kind of fun to watch him, squirt out of those different groups every now and then. But I'd rather see him be able to focus and throw a good pass instead of like that.
He got out safely. We are doing really well at avoiding major injuries this season. So high five for that.
Yeah, knock on wood. I got to find some wood to knock on, because this is really where we need our players healthy. We've got a little bit of a lead in the division, but do not want to lose it, especially going up against San Francisco in a couple weeks. That's going to be a massive, massive game, and really looking forward to it. But speaking of the refereeing, let's talk about that, because why does it seem so hard to properly referee NFL games, at least on a consistent basis? The one that gets me the most, and fortunately, this worked in our favor, but I've been getting a lot of flack from it from my non-Packers fans friends.
Right.
How are you supposed to tackle the quarterback now? There's just no clear way. I don't remember the defensive player's name, but he got penalized for tackling Aaron Rodgers, roughing the passer. It was a clear-cut tackle. There was nothing wrong with that tackle. You're supposed to roll off of him now or something like that?
Pretty much. I think based on their revision to the rule, the Panther did slightly push Aaron Rodgers' shoulder into the turf a little more than he should have. It was the same exact kind of tackles that Clay Matthews was doing last year, where he was getting flags thrown at him left and right.
Right.
And so I guess there's a little bit of consistency there. You want to talk about inconsistent. How about that offensive pass interference call against us early in the game? Ridiculous.
That one did not make any sense to me whatsoever. And that actually made the roughing the passer penalty a little bit more bearable, because it felt like it evened it up a little bit. Yes. That was my justification anyway.
Mine too.
Don't get me wrong. I want a clean, regulated game throughout the entire thing. But
that'd be nice, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
It just doesn't. It's starting to feel less like football. I understand, and I want to keep the players healthy and safe as possible, but let them play football. And I don't know, make a YouTube video or something of ways you're supposed to tackle people, or explain what pass interference is, because I feel like we don't even know. There's just no clear-cut explanation as to what it is, and it just depends on who's who's running the game, and I don't like that. I like consistency.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Scott, who do we write to?
I don't know.
We can make this happen.
Dear NFL. No, I don't know. There's one other low light I wanted to mention, and that was the call to go for it on 4th down when we were on the 5-yard line or something like that. And I did not like this call. I appreciate aggression just as much as everybody else, but this early in the game when you're up by 4, you take the 3 points to be up a full score. If we had gone for that and gotten the field goal, we wouldn't have been shaken like a leaf during that final, 2-minute warning drill. I did not like that call. Even before we missed it, I said, I do not like this call. You take the 3, you play it safe. And I love LaFleur. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not a big fan of that call. What did you think of it?
Now, this is the one that was fairly close to halftime, right?
I believe so.
Near the end of the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because the game did not air here in Southern California because they thought we wanted to see the Rams. So I had to go to my local Italian restaurant / sports bar.
Uh-huh.
And it was about 75% Packers fans in there. And so there was a little bit of a discussion between us around the table we were at, arguing about it as well, even before, like you said, the play didn't work.
Right.
And I think if we were on the road, I would absolutely 100% go for the kick no matter what. It looked like there was a little bit of discussion between Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. Maybe Aaron Rodgers convinced him that, we got this. I don't know. Ultimately, it does fall on the coach. I like the call. I don't like that it didn't work. The way it was implemented did not happen
I don't know.
properly.
It felt like a very Bill Belichick move, which, it's hard to argue with the greatness of that coach. But every once in a while, cut the sleeves off. But I don't know. That kind of a move makes you feel like you're up by a lot more than 4 points, and it feels a little like overconfidence to me. But I'm not in his head. I don't know what he was thinking. I can't judge him for that. But I would have preferred to have seen just taking the safe 3 and going from there.
Yeah, and of course, in hindsight, I have to agree with you on that side because those 3 points really could have given us a little more breath instead of turning it into another heart attack game.
Oh man, because that last we had it locked in, and then there was a penalty, and it's like, you got to be kidding me. We got to keep him out of the end zone. But that last play, where he ran it on 4th down and just barely missed it. That wouldn't have won the game quite. They still needed a 2-point conversion in order to tie it. But I did not want to go into overtime. That just would have been. I would have been up all night from anxiety, even if we had won the game.
No matter what.
Yeah, but
I hear you, and I think our listeners are in a similar vein as well. Let's hear what you had to say. The Packers Fan Podcast G-Force. You gave us calls right after the game at 920-3-PACK-GO.
Hi, this is Mark from New Lisbon, and the Packer game just ended. A great win for the Packers. Their defense came through at the end. I wanted to start with the officiating because it's so frustrating. The NFL is almost becoming unwatchable. I've been a Packer fan for 50 years, and it's just not good to watch sometimes. It's a $1 billion league, and they have 10-cent officiating. They need full-time officials. Every major sports league has them. It's just kind of stunning that they don't. But also, I really love Jones and Williams. Jones had 3 TDs. Williams is a great compliment to Jones. We outrushed Christian McCaffrey, who's, an MVP candidate. So kudos to the offensive line. A quick note on Blake Martinez. I know he's leading the league in tackles, and I love the guy, but he just doesn't seem to be an impact player. But I guess that's just kind of nitpicking. So it was a great win. We're going to be 8-2 heading into the bye week. New Orleans lost. Hopefully the Vikings will lose tonight. We're really on track for a Super Bowl, and I think a Brady-Rodgers Super Bowl would just be exactly what the NFL needs. On a humorous note, early in the second half, we converted a 2nd and 26, and I couldn't help but think of the famous 4th and 26 pass from Donovan McNabb to Freddie Mitchell. That was it was 15 years ago. Is that a coincidence? I think not. But enjoy the podcast. enjoy the bye week, and go Pack Go.
Thanks so much for the voicemail there, Mark. I love the idea of Brady and Rodgers in the Super Bowl together. If you remember, 1997 was when we beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 31. Could you imagine the media storm if the Patriots and the Packers went to the Super Bowl, and how much they'd be going back to 31 and saying, are the Packers going to repeat that? Just that conversation makes me just froth at the mouth of the possibility. However, I would rather not face the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Let's get them knocked out earlier in the playoffs because, I'm not a big fan of the Patriots. They're becoming the bane of my existence. So I agree with you what you say about Jones and Williams being a good combo. It's nice to see that we're not heavily leaning on one of them. I mean, obviously Jones is getting more touches than Williams, but they make a nice pair back there, and it's really great to see that happening.
And Mark agrees with you that the officiating, it's worth about 10 cents, and it makes the game almost unwatchable.
I just couldn't imagine even being a ref. I feel like everybody just hates the referees in the games, even when they do something in our favor. You know, we got that one where Aaron Rodgers got tackled for roughing the passer, and I didn't agree with it. I'm still just disgusted by it. I want a fair, clean game, and let them play football. This isn't baseball. You want a no contact sport? Go watch baseball.
Go Pack Go! Jared here from Ohio. Just wanted to chime in about tonight's game. Quite the heart attack pack per the norm, but hey, it was still OW at the end of the day. All in all, it was pretty happy overall with how things worked out. You know, there's still some things that we definitely need to iron out, just in terms of some missed plays by Bakhtiari and other things across the board. I won't get into the nitty-gritty of all that, but either way, it was still a team win. Defense was still able to really hold them there at the end, which was quite the showing. The identity of the defense seems to be the Dom Capers bend a dope break, which part of me isn't super happy about, but on the other hand, at least they're not breaking, because Dom Capers just seemed to always be like, hey, we're bend, don't break, and we always broke. But hey, that's how it's working out. We're still stopping them in the end zone. The Smiths are still getting those sacks. Definitely like to see that. And at the end of the day, we won the turnover margin on this game. As far as the offensive side of the ball goes, it was really a solid performance. Still, again, some plays here or there that should have probably been called a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, the team made it work. We came out with a W. It was a really awesome win, and this bye week couldn't have come sooner. So hopefully the Pack starts off fresh after these couple weeks off and really comes out swinging. In the meantime, let's see what happens with the Vikings tonight. And who knows, maybe we'll have a 2-game lead heading into the bye if they lose tonight. So go Pack Go, green and gold till dead and told. Jared from Ohio.
Jared, thank you so much for your call, and the purple ones let us down. Or actually, the silver ones let us down. Dang, Vikings. Oh, well, we're still a game and a half in the lead. We own that tiebreaker for now, so we'll see how it goes. Jared, great points about the bend, don't break defense that these days isn't breaking all the way, so that's always a plus, right, Scott?
Absolutely, and it cracks me up, and this isn't a knock on Jared whatsoever. It's more on other people that I've talked to that always bring up Dom Capers. Do people not remember the defense with Dom Capers? We were always complaining about it, like, when is Capers going to get out of there? And we had a great start to the season this year with the defense. We faltered a little bit, but not enough to give us a losing record. I'm still very happy with what Pettin's doing, and I think I'm a little bit more optimistic than most when it comes to the defense, because I think they'll be able to pull through.
But I think the key is the fact that we're not breaking. That we're 8-2. The defense, we let them march down the field more often than I like, but we do tend to hold them to field goals more often than not. So it could be a lot worse. The defense, I think that, like Jared alluded to, the bye week is at the absolute perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
We get a cold weather home game. We get a victory. We aren't very banged up, but we can rest and recoup and refocus and march into San Francisco in 2 weeks, totally rested and ready to kick butt and take names.
I agree. And that is going to, I feel like that's going to be the game of the week. And I'm not just saying that just because I'm a Packers fan, but that just feels like the one that's going to be, people are going to be talking about quite a bit. I mean, it's an undefeated team against an 8-2 team. There's going to be a lot of people watching that, and I can't wait to see the predictions for that one.
Then again, the 49ers might not be undefeated after they play the Seahawks tonight.
That's true. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens tonight.
Hey, Wayne and Scott, this is David from Virginia. It's good to see the Pack going 8-2 into the bye, after the dud last game. But good team win. Defense played pretty well, pretty much holding McCaffrey to below average game for his standards. A lot of good things coming out of this game. I mean, two of the biggest things on defense, though, that they need to improve on is they need to get lower on the quarterback, take him down. It was great to see the pressure getting to him, but they need to finish it off. And bad mistakes could have cost them towards the end of the game. But, a win's a win, and I didn't cost the team the game this time. I actually wore my jersey, which I didn't wear last week, so you could blame the last game on me. But great to see a win, get rested up, and hopefully beat San Francisco in 2 weeks. Green and gold till I'm dead and cold.
David, it's so funny that you mentioned wearing your jersey. I watched last week's game against the Chargers with my brother. I think I talked about this last week. And he wore his jersey for the first time that season or something, and they lost. So I texted him after this win and said, you are not allowed to wear your jersey the rest of the season. You just have to wear like a Packers t-shirt or something like that. So also, I got to mention, David actually messaged me privately after he sent his email and wanted to mention that he really likes seeing the football weather at this game, the snow coming down. I love those shots where they do the snow against the bright lights, and it just feels very, very fall, early winter kind of stuff. It was really great to see.
Yeah, that reminds me of being a kid growing up in Utah when we'd get a lot of snow. I would just sometimes stand out there and look up at the lights in the Sears parking lot and watch the snow come down through the lights. It's much more exciting at a Packers game than in the parking lot of a Sears store, but, you take what you can get when you're 9 years old. David did make a great point that our defense should get lower on the quarterbacks because I think we'll get more sacks and tackles that way.
Yeah, there was the one where we almost got him or tangled him up. By I think it was Kenny Clark tangled him up going on the bottom half of the field, and get lower, tackle him with the legs, keep him from sprinting, and we'll definitely get more sacks that way.
Go Pat, go! Go Pat, go! Andre LA. Hey guys, after a horrible team loss last week, they came back with a very strong team win. I loved what I saw. Well, not loved. Liked a lot what I saw from the offense. The defense looked great. Special teams seem to be back in sync. The very clutch defensive stop. I got to tell you, living in LA, good weather, watching the game in my house and watching the snowy weather. There's nothing finer than being in an 80-degree house watching what looked to be below 30 in Green Bay. So that is beautiful Green Bay football. I really did not have a problem. I know some people are going to talk about Matt LaFleur deciding to run the ball right before the half. I didn't have a problem with the play call. I personally like to play it safe and take the points. But I also understand, maybe he took the effort and thought, maybe it'll come a point in the game down the road where we need to get a 4th and 1 in the red zone. And we struggled already earlier in the season. It was trying to do it again. So I didn't really have a problem with it. We made up for it throughout the game. I think he took a temperature of the way the offense was going. So I thought it was a good play call. The defense, Carolina's defense, just made a really good stop. Other than that, overall, I was very impressed with what I saw. It felt like Adams was more in sync with the offense as opposed to just looking for him, although he did receive a lot of targets. It felt like the offense moved a lot more fluid. The defense really got after the quarterback. They still gave a lot of yardage, but let's be honest, Christian McCaffrey is a really good running back. So I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on the game. Andre in LA, green and gold, so I'm dead. Go, Pack, go. Love you guys.
Awesome, Andre. Always good to hear from you. Calling in about a strong Packers team win and starting out his voicemail. You had a very fine Go Pack Go to fire us up.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to be able to top last week's, but he seems to be getting better and better at that. So, Andre, keep it up, man. I love it.
Absolutely. And excellent job pointing out the fact that our special teams do seem to be a little more in sync than they were. And that is going to go a long way, because when it's cold and the ball is slippery and the snow is coming down, special teams, we're counting on you.
Yeah, for sure. There's been a lack of muffed punts and all that, but I will say, and this may not even be a knock on us. It may just be the quality of the kicking team from the opposing teams. But we've got, I don't know if you know this stat, Wayne, but we've got one punt return yard this entire season. One punt return yard. Granted, we're doing a lot of fair catches and whatnot, but
one? Like
one
for all 10 games combined?
Correct. Yes. One punt return yard.
Well, we need to at least double that when we play Frisco. That's a strange stat I have not seen. That's worrisome.
Yeah, we definitely need to do something there. But I mean, like I said, you can't really help a fair catch. You're not going to run it on a fair catch, but that means we've lost yardage at some point to make that average out to 1 yard. Again, this comes down to the rules. I think we don't have those. I still haven't seen a run back for a kickoff return or a punt return. We're just not seeing those explosive plays. At least I'm not seeing them live, and I miss that. I miss kickoffs, man. As much as I don't ever miss a kickoff, I miss that anticipation of hey, is he gonna run it all the way back? And we never get past the 40 anymore on either team.
Well, stay tuned. Maybe in 2 weeks we will. Andre, thanks again for your call, and good to hear you do support Matt LaFleur's play calling, going for the touchdown at home instead of the field goal.
He does make a good point, which is that he wanted to kind of keep the momentum going because they really ran down the field, and that just would have been it would have kept the morale going to have that. Unfortunately, you run the risk of having the adverse effect of that and then the team being deflated, and thankfully the Packers were able to pick themselves up by their bootstraps and keep on going and win the game. But I still would have liked to see a 3, man. That's me. But a lot of people disagree with me. Anyway, thanks so much for the email, Andre, or the voicemail, rather. Let's go on to emails. The first one comes from Travis, and he says, Heart Attack Pack did it. I've been sick in bed all day, so I followed in my phone. I don't know how we didn't come away with points at the end of the first half. Also, our defense is the obvious. They really need improvement. It cost us the Philly game and almost gave this one up. Well, first off, Travis, hope you feel better, and maybe this game was able to kick in some adrenaline or something in you and get you recovered a little bit faster. But yeah, the defense definitely lost us in Philly, and but on the bright side, they won us for several of the first few games of the season, so we've got that going for us.
When we needed them most.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely, Travis, get well soon. Being sick in bed all day on a Sunday, not good. Not good.
Yes.
Also, from Caleb Fisher, watching the game on my break, and when I was able to watch it at work, I'm sporting my Kumaro jersey, and we won. So see, there's the secret, Scott. Go Pack, go from Caleb Fisher and Company.
Nice. I love that you get the Kumaro jersey. We also got one from Steven. He says, checking in from Palos Park, Illinois. This was a better performance the Packers did than against the Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, also water is wet. I didn't like it when the predictable route with the Packers winning the coin toss and deferring to the second half. Yeah, that's kind of our MO now. I still kind of like having the ball at the half, man. I still kind of like that strategy. He goes on to say, not a pretty win by the Packers, but then again, is there such a thing as a pretty win? Well, yeah, winning by 30 or 40 would be very pretty for me.
But at the same time, we do want to take that victory. And yes, I always dream that we're going to win by 50 or more points. And yes, this is just, I guess, how the Packers are going to do it. But they could come out after the bye week improved in that area. So I'm going to be looking for pretty wins.
True. He goes on to say, going into the bye week, what are the grades that you give the Green Bay Packers at this point? The next The next game is making me nervous as the Packers will be out in San Francisco against the 49ers, which will be a 3:25 kickoff in Central Time. The San Francisco 49ers are undefeated as of the time of this email.
That's not going to be for long.
I don't have any big plans for the bye week. Scott and Wayne, do you have any big plans for the bye week? I am betting that you won't have a podcast next week. Well, funny you mentioned that there, Stephen. We actually are going to have a podcast next week. We've actually got a special guest going to be joining us. Do you want me to tell everybody who that is, just in case it...
Yes.
It does. Okay.
Go for it, Scott.
So if any of you guys are fantasy football fans out there and you do fantasy football on Yahoo, the name Liz Loza might be familiar for you. She's an analyst for Yahoo Fantasy Football, and I've been in contact with her, and she's agreed to come on the show as our guest. She'll help us give us a little bit of a grade on the Green Bay Packers, and then maybe give us some fantasy football insight as well, too. I'm really looking forward to talking with her. So stay tuned for that episode next week. We will be here during the bye week, believe it or not.
Yes.
As far as his other comments, the 49ers, it's going to be a tough game. Although I will say, and we'll talk about this next week as well, the San Francisco 49ers, it is impressive that they're undefeated as of right now, but you got to also remember they've had a pretty easy schedule this first half of the year. So they're going to be up against a much stronger team, I feel, when they face the Packers in 2 weeks.
Now, they did blow out the Carolina Panthers, so that was probably just an off day for them, like when the Packers came to L.A. to play the Chargers. But the fact that, after the bye week, the Niners play the Packers, that's not going to be easy for them. And then they travel to Baltimore to play the Ravens, who look unstoppable in the AFC. So they're not going to win both those games, for sure.
You got to lose at least one. I'm just praying for snow in San Francisco because we need that, apparently.
That would be fantastic. There are going to be a lot of Packers fans up at that game because the stadium is so huge, and they couldn't, not as many that wanted to, could get tickets to the Chargers game. So they're going to help take over the Frisco Stadium. We'll talk about that more next week when we preview the 49ers game and talk to the fantasy expert. It's going to be awesome. As far as a grade, giving the Packers at this point, I'm going to base my grade solely on the numbers. If we're 8-2, I'd give them a B+. Room for improvement.
All right. I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to do a grade for the offense and a grade for the defense.
Okay.
I'm going to give the offense an A-. I think that they're looking really good, but we need some help on the offensive line. And I'm going to give the defense a B+. If I were talking about the defense from the first 2 or 3 games of the season, it would definitely be an A or A+. But I think we got some room to go. Overall, very happy with where they're at.
Yes, and so we are going to have a show next week, and just to make sure that you get your feedback in, because we want to hear what you think is going to be going on at the Niners game, but also if you have any questions about fantasy football, get them into us by Sunday night at 11 p.m. Central. Call us at 920-3PACK-GO, and call us, and we will share your feedback on the show. Thanks for your feedback this week, and of course, Go Pack Go. And our easy peasy Twitter poll question of the week, which is also in our Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group. As beautiful as our Packers looked at Lambeau Field in the snow and the freezing cold temperatures, do you feel that you had a better view of yesterday's game by watching it on television?
I can't understand why anybody would say yes. I mean, I get, 4K TVs with HDR and all that is gorgeous, but there's nothing that beats sitting in the stands amongst just a plethora of Packers fans, all squeezed in there, beer in one hand, brat with mustard in the other, maybe little cheese curds on the side, right, Wayne? Right?
Absolutely.
There's nothing that beats that view.
But at the same time, and we do have some comments, and surprisingly, when we combined over 60 votes that came in on Twitter and in Facebook, yes, got 66% of the votes.
I'm shocked by that, honestly.
And no got 34. That's math. But the comments will help straighten some of that out for you.
All right, well, let's start with that. Janelle says, after finally getting to go to a Packers game in Dallas, I will always prefer being there in person. Can't wait till the December 8th game when I'll be seeing Lambeau for the first time. Snowing and Packers football will always be perfect together. Janelle, I am hoping that you get snow for your game because There's nothing like snow during a Packers game. It's the coolest thing. And as cold as you may be, you don't care. The beer keeps you warm. Being huddled together with everybody. I made instant friends at every Packer game I've ever been to. Just perfect strangers that we all share in the love of the Packers. And it's just so great being in that stadium with all the history. And I love it. I can't wait to go to the Bears game.
It's coming up soon. Marty echoes those comments by saying snow falling at Lambeau on an evening game is a beautiful thing.
Word. Also, May says, yes, watched it on my phone on a beach in Maui. Now, that one, I'll give you, May, okay? You can have that one if you're watching it on a beach in Maui. You definitely had a better view than any of us, but that's also cheating a little bit.
No, I wouldn't call it cheating. I'm giving full props out because you're on a beach in Maui at about 11 or 12 noon Hawaii time, and you're watching the Green Bay Packers. That gets a go Pack go for me. Chuck says he was at the game and the snow almost seemed like a special effect, but it was pretty cold for an early November game.
You're not kidding, man. I know you and your California weather out there are you're just nice and toasty, but we got about 6 inches of snow last night, and tomorrow it's supposed to drop down to like 7 degrees, which is
7
unseasonably cold for here.
Fahrenheit?
At this time of year. Yeah, that is Fahrenheit, yes. I can't do the conversion in my head.
But that's cold, no matter what system you use.
Yeah, that's very, very cold, and it's only November. We're having a little bit of a mini polar vortex up here, and
us too.
Hopefully it's going to...
In a couple days, we're only going to hit 72 degrees.
Oh, my goodness. You shut your mouth right
Brutal, I tell you.
Oh, I was out at like 5 o'clock this morning, snow blowing my driveway before my wife left for work. I got to go do it again after we're done recording here. It's not even December, and I'm already sick of snow. We are in for a crazy winter. I think it's going to be nuts. Last comment came from James, who said, don't know what it's like there live, but the television view is usually superior, but you miss the atmosphere. Yes, the view on your television, especially if you got a really nice TV, looks clearer. You can see the game better. You can see replays better. But man, the atmosphere just makes it all for me. I would take that in a heartbeat. If I lived closer to Green Bay and I was lucky enough to get season tickets, I would go to every single game. It wouldn't matter. My life would revolve around the games, and because it's just so much fun being there and tailgating. We didn't even talk about that. Getting every game I go to, I go out and I just find people,
random strangers.
Well, wherever you park, you just find people with tents and you make friends and throw footballs and share beers and just I love. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do, man. Is running into people I've never met before and just striking up conversations and making friends, and it's awesome. I got a funny story to tell you, actually. I was at a game once, and I'm walking into the stadium, and all of a sudden I hear, Scott Clark? And I turn around, and this woman that I don't recognize, I don't know, says, hi, I'm so-and-so, and we're friends on Facebook, and I just recognized your voice and recognized your face from your profile picture. Apparently, like years ago, she had accidentally friended me instead of a different Scott that she was trying to friend. And rather than deleting the friendship, she just kept it and followed me and recognized my face. And I happened to run into her at a Lambeau game. How crazy is that?
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a very bizarre happenstance there.
It's good to be a Packers fan.
Sure is.
Well, there's no game to preview just yet because the Packers are on vacation and practice and stuff. Mm-hmm. But if you're ready to do some math, this one's going to get tricky because in our standings where we're trying to guess the outcomes of the game, this past week we both picked the Packers to win by 3 points.
Mm-hmm. Well, the way this one works, this final score of the game was 24-16. Your prediction was 24-21. So since you got the Packers score exactly right, that's 0 points, which is good for you. And the difference between the Panthers and the Panthers 21-16 is 5 points. So you got a total of 5 points, which is really good. Me, on the other hand, I missed the Packers points by 6, so right off the bat, I have already lost. So this week goes to you, sir.
Yay, the Packers win, and don't look now.
It's 4-4, baby.
We are tied 4-4. I know listener Steven had doubts that I would ever catch up and dig out of the hole.
There's still plenty of season left for me to take the lead again.
Absolutely. There's a lot more football to go, but we're tied at 4. Now, I will say that in my Yahoo Pick'em League, I have a big hole to dig out of. I did move up from 9th place to 6th place, but some of these people, I don't know what voodoo they're doing in that game, but they're really on a roll.
Oh, yeah. I was telling you before we started recording that in my survivor pool, which I am out of, there were 12 people left after I was eliminated, and all 12 people picked wrong this week. 9 of them picked the Saints, and 3 of them picked the Colts, who both lost. So that $2,000 pot is now going to be split between 12 different people, which, is better than the 25 you put in. But man, if one person had picked a different game, they would have got the entire thing in week 10, which would have been nuts. So, it was definitely upset week.
So
for sure.
Either those other players have already picked the Packers, or for whatever reason didn't pick them this week, and that was unfortunate for them.
Yeah, if I had just gone with my Panthers pick last week, and I could have had a shot at it this week. But man, I've never been so close in a big pool like that. It would have been really nice to do that, but alas.
Let's go ahead and share some listener feedback from the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community, which you too can join at packerscommunity.com. Peter, what a hard-earned victory that was. Props to the Packers fan, Panthers quarterback Kyle Allen. He exploited the holes in our defense well all night. Rodgers was poor. Don't know how much that was down to the conditions on the field with some poor throws, but you can't blame that for the constant bombs down the field. Take the checkdowns, for God's sake. The Smiths ate their Oreos, and rookie Jimmy G looked good as well. Jones is a pure machine-made man. Big test lies ahead for the Matt LaFleur team after the bye week. Let's see if he learns from the first part of the season. Right. It's late. I have university tomorrow. See you in 2 weeks. Look forward to the podcast, keeping me company on my trips to university in the early hours of a cold Scottish morning. Awesome.
Look at that. International listeners. I love it. Thanks so much for the message there, Peter. Also, we got one from Lofia who says, defense bend but didn't break. Aaron Rodgers didn't deliver today when we needed him to seal the game, but the defense stepped up and held their ground. Prepare for a tough road game ahead against the undefeated 49ers, and go, Pack, go. And then he also had little emojis, cheese, and then a fist or like a flexing muscle. And I have no idea what the third one is.
That's applause.
Is that a...
Scott.
Oh, is that applause?
Yes, I've been studying the emojis. That's applause.
Oh, okay. Well, you got one up on me. I think I need a new monitor because that does not look like applause on my screen. But
maybe it didn't translate over. Marty says, I don't know if viewers could see the beautiful snow on TV. Oh, yeah, we could. But it was a perfect night for a Veterans Day tribute to the armed services. It was an exceptional Lambeau Field memory that will not be forgotten anytime soon. Go, Pack, go. Football emoji, yellow heart emoji, green heart emoji.
I'm so jealous of Marty that he was at this game. Even before the game started, just when the snow started to fall, I was like, this would be a perfect game to be at the field. But alas, I'll be there. I'll be there in December when it's probably going to be about 3 times colder than it is now. But hey, I'll take it. Also, I got to give you a hard time, man. You posted in our Facebook group that people from Japan, Packers fans from Japan, are coming to the game. They're flying all the way from another country, but yet you can't make it even from California, man. What's up with that?
I have made it 4 times, and I will make it again.
Not this year you haven't, when you got this awesome new co-host with you on this Packers Fan Podcast.
I am remiss, Scott. I am remiss.
Well, if we make it to the playoffs, man.
Absolutely. NFC Championship game, we'll find a way to make that happen.
Absolutely. Well, if you'd like to join the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community and be a part of the conversation at packerscommunity.com, head over there. We got more great conversations and posts, including our weekly post to discuss the game as it happens. Lots of good conversation going there.
And we do have the article from packersnews.com about those this is like 15 or 16 Japanese Packers cheering team coming all the way from Tokyo to Japan to see the Packers beat the Panthers in the snow. There's a little video clip that I guess is going to be part of a documentary they're making, and they just look great. When I make it to Japan, I definitely have to find their sports bar and go pay them a visit and maybe fly from Tokyo to Lambeau Field.
That would be
one way
pretty
to
cool.
get there.
That would be a long, long flight. Also, Travis sparked more conversation about the Packers eventually playing an away game in London, since we are the only NFL team that hasn't played there yet. I wonder why that is.
Because we're awfully popular and we bring money to every city that we play in. I think it is going to happen, if not next season, the following season. The Packers definitely cannot afford to give up a home game, but I think the NFL is going to either bribe or coerce or somehow convince an away team to give up that game and have it be in London so that our friends over in the UK can go see the Packers. And I think we need to make trips to go to that game as well.
Man, I'd love to go to London. I've never been out of the country except for Mexico and Canada, so never been off North America.
The Packers can help make that happen for all of us. Also shared an article on Jordy Nelson where Jordy says retirement's been good so far. There's that and more, all at PackersCommunity.com.
Before we wrap things up here, we got some other general NFL chatter to talk about. There were a few huge upsets yesterday, including the Falcons, Steelers, and Titans. Man, it's just crazy week of NFL football for sure.
And the Bears beat the Lions, and so they're all excited. They're back on their winning ways, but I say big whoop-de-doo because the Lions were playing with their third-string quarterback, and yeah, way to go, Bears. You still, well, you know.
I love that you never say it. You just never say it.
Oh, I want to, but people know. They're reading between the lines. How's the NFC North looking for us now as we go on a bye week?
Well, as you mentioned at the top of the show, we are still 8-2 at the top of the NFC North. The Vikings are still 1.5 games behind us because we do have that intra-divisional win against the Vikings. The Bears slid into third place at 4-5, and the Lions at the bottom of the heap at 3-5 and 1 with a tie. All right, before we head out, I want to remind you one last time, if you love to play video games as much as I do, please be sure to check out my other podcast, The Gaming Outsider, which can be heard at the same place you listen to this one. Shortly after this episode airs, you can hear me talk about a brand new game that all the gamers are talking about right now called Death Stranding, and it is very divisive. Some people love it. A lot of people hate it, and we're going to be debating about that on our next episode that'll be available, like I said, a day or two after this episode airs. If you'd like to check it out, our website is thegamingoutsider.com.
And now that it's November, you know what that means. It's getting closer to Christmas, which means we are getting closer to the return of Doctor Who, which means we're getting close to the return of my Don't Blink Doctor Who podcast on Golden Spiral Media. The word is that they are going to go back to tradition and have a Christmas episode of Doctor Who this year to kind of lead off the upcoming season. And my Doctor Who Don't Blink podcast, we are getting ready to cover the show for another good season. Check out Don't Blink at, coincidentally enough, don'tblinkpodcast.com.
A huge thank you and go Pack Go to Bryant for his continued support of the show at the $24 Willie Wood pledge level. And how about those Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics? Got to give a go Pack Go to them for their $12 a month support.
And coming in hot with their $4 monthly Patreon support, Jeff Summerfield and Lawrence Harvey. And Curly Lambeau would appreciate these $1 level podcast supporters as much as we do. Joe Christensen, thank you. Matt Haig, thank you. Hank Davis from the TPE network of podcasts, thank you. And Aaron Peterson from the Hollywood Outsider, thank you all.
Check out how you too can financially support the podcast at a level to match your budget and even get some fun Packers Fan Podcast logo merch. Details at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. Thanks so much and go Pack Go. Wayne, did you notice how easy it was for me to say logo right there? Logo.
Well, if anybody listened all the way to the end for the outtake of last week's episode, they would understand. It was a week. Let me just say that.
And as always, we are the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not yet affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, but we are very open to it. Just saying, if you're listening, hit us up over at media@PackersFanPodcast.com.
And follow us on Twitter @PackersFanPod. Follow Scott on Twitter @GoCastScott. Follow me on Twitter. Why not? I'm @Wayne Henderson, and join our Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community at PackersCommunity.com. Join the conversations and start your own.
Also, be sure to get your feedback in by Sunday night at 11 p.m. Central Time. Go to PackersFanPodcast.com and click the Contact Us button for details. Thanks again for joining us again on the Packers Fan Podcast. Did you miss any of the details? Just hit the back 30 button on your podcast player a couple times, and we'll say it again for you.
Be sure to subscribe in your podcast player of choice so you don't miss an episode. There's no bye week for the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics group as they take us out again this week.
This is Dawn down here in Texas, a.k.a. Granny Cheese.
Hi, I'm James.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, I'm Susan.
Hi, I'm Carrie.
Hi, I'm Lisa Montgomery, and we want to say,
Go Pack Go!